People often say that everything in life happens for a reason. But have you ever wondered why? Let's explore through a story. One afternoon in a quiet forest, a heartbroken young man came to visit a wise old saint. His eyes were red from crying. Seeing his distress, the saint gently asked, "What troubles you, my child?" The young man sighed and said, "Everything I owned is gone. Thieves stole all my belongings. I'm left with nothing, not even a way to return home. How can this possibly be good? Everyone says everything happens for the better, but this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me." The saint smiled calmly and said, "Let me explain it to you through a story," he began. Once a terrible flood struck a small village, sweeping away houses, crops, and belongings. A poor farmer and his family lost even their last bit of stored grain. The farmer sat in despair while his young son said softly, "It's all right, Father. Whatever happened, happened for good." The farmer grew furious. "What nonsense! How can losing everything be good? We have no food, no home, nothing to survive on," he shouted. In anger, he told his son, "Leave me alone." The boy, hurt by his father's harsh words, walked away in tears. Hours passed, and when night began to fall, the boy still hadn't returned. The father's anger faded into guilt. Just then, a rescue boat arrived and helped the remaining villagers, including the farmer and his wife, to safety. One of the villagers said, "Your son was right after all. You scolded him for nothing, yet you were saved in the end." But the farmer shook his head sadly. "How is this good? We're alive, yes, but we still have no food or shelter. What good can come from that?" His wife placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "We may have lost everything, but we still have each other. Don't lose hope. I'll work in nearby homes to earn something. Together we'll manage." Encouraged by her strength, the next morning the farmer traveled to the city in search of work. He walked all day but found no job. Exhausted and worried, he returned home, wondering how he would feed his family. Their temporary hut made of straw barely kept out the wind. Days passed, and looking at his ruined crops, the farmer's despair deepened. "Even my son has left," he muttered. "Everything's gone." People keep saying everything happens for a reason, but how could this misery be good for anything? His wife tried to comfort him. "Don't lose faith. Try again. Maybe tomorrow will bring better news." So the farmer set out once more to look for work. Again, no one hired him. On his way back, he met a wandering saint sitting under a tree. Seeing the farmer's troubled face, the saint asked, "What burdens your heart?" The farmer poured out his story about the flood, the loss of his home, the hunger, and his missing son. After listening patiently, the saint said, "That is exactly why I tell you. My friend, whatever happens, happens for good." The farmer frowned. "How can you say that? I've lost everything, even my child." The saint smiled gently. "The answers to your questions will come with time. Do not worry. Trust that life has its own way of setting things right." That night, the farmer sat silently outside his hut, thinking about the saint's words. Could it really be true? Could his suffering lead to something good? Days later, he finally found work at a wealthy merchant's estate. The merchant was kind and generous, paying him well and even giving him a small house nearby. One evening, just as the farmer was about to eat dinner, there was a knock at the door. When he opened it, he froze in shock. It was his son. Tears filled his eyes as the boy said, "Father, I've been looking for you everywhere. After I left that day, I went to the city and found a small job. I worked hard, saved money, and started a little tea stall. Slowly, things got better. When I heard you might be nearby, I came as fast as I could." The farmer embraced his son tightly, his heart overflowing with gratitude. In that moment, he realized the truth behind the saint's words. Sometimes what seems like the end is only the beginning of something greater. When the old saint finished the story, the young man listening still looked puzzled. "But in my case," he said, "everything was stolen. What good could possibly come from that?" The saint smiled knowingly and reached into his bag. "I found something in the forest," he said. "Perhaps it belongs to you." He handed the young man a glowing stone. The man gasped. It was a philosopher's stone, a magical gem said to turn iron into gold. Overwhelmed, he whispered, "If my things hadn't been stolen, I would never have come here. I wouldn't have met you or found this treasure." The saint smiled once more. "So, my friends, what do we learn from this? No matter how dark things seem, time has a way of turning pain into purpose. Never make life-changing decisions when you're in despair. Even the hardest times can lead to blessings we can't yet see.